and welcome back to the Conqueror's Mentality. You have your host, Ave Maria,
Hey, y'all.
and me, Naya. And we're back with a topic talking about what do we have? Hidden traumas of success. And all that is included in that. We have received all of the accolades, all of the accomplishments, achievements, but we just want to talk about the stuff people don't talk about.
But before we go, sister, how you doing?
I am doing good. This is a long work week for me. I put in a decent amount of hours, more hours than I have in a very long time. But I felt really good because it was towards something that I know, like I really can do, and I know this is not going to be a consistent thing. Saying all that to say, super excited. My dogs definitely have survived from last week. Okay. My
So
girl is
glad to
out of
hear.
her cone, and now we are working on the other dog's allergy. So
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
we in our dog parent bag. Yeah. Other than that, we are chilling. I tried a new hairstyle, really like it.
I do like this. It looks good. It looks cute.
Thank you. I feel like I
Very
need little
useful, but
beads.
like
I think I need like the
I
little
could see
brown
that.
beads or something.
It's
Something.
given you're gonna get locked soon, but we're gonna get there. I'm just saying.
I know. I probably am. But how are you doing?
I'm tired. Tired for I guess good reasons. This week was first week back in the office. That is true. Yes. And so it was nice trying to remember what I do again, but I got actually really excited because I developed a tool. And so I'm just excited just to see like it work. Like, wow, I
Yeah.
made something that works. Um, and then this past Friday actually was at a poetry platform, Poetry Me Please, which was just amazing. Had the opportunity to perform, and really to God be the glory, because I was doing an Instagram cleanse and some told me to go on Instagram, and they had DM'd me and they were like, in 2 weeks, can you turn around and do a performance? I
Yeah.
said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was a really great experience. So there just has been a lot less sleep, tired, but like a good tired, can't complain tired.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to get into today's topic, and I want you to kick it off and frame for us really the hidden traumas of success. Right? What does that even mean? What does that look like? Where has that shown up for you in your upbringing, in your day-to-day? Yeah. Let's dive in.
Yeah. No. I think the the hidden traumas of success is such a unique topic in the sense of everybody talks about all the benefits, the money, glory, the fame, that's your lane. I mean, sometimes in corporate America, you can have a little bit of fame. So I get that. And the pressures and all of that, the titles, but nobody really talks about the loneliness, the the constant push, the anxiety, the depression possibly that are associated with being that person. And so as we navigated last year and talking about how do we be balanced with our success and how do we feed ourselves while giving so much, I think it's interesting to take a step back and look at with all the success that we're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
what possibly is, showing up for us. So for me,
Mhm.
for me, I feel like the number one thing that comes to my brain is like the romantic relationship. So I think about, college in a sense. When I was in college, I used to get all the time that some like guys would just say, I'm just not ready for you, or you're a little bit too advanced, or,
Advanced.
or you would get the guys who would say, "Mm, I'm just not looking for that," or they try to downplay your success. And I'm just like, you do realize we in the same class and I got a better grade. What are we talking about right now?
Mm.
what are we
Mhm.
what are we even
Mhm.
having a conversation about? Which leaves you very lonely because I didn't do all the success just to be alone.
Yeah.
I did this so I could share it with others and I wanted to do my best. Like, when has doing your best ever made you feel isolated? And I think this is the
Mhm.
one time. But also the pressures that are associated. I've experienced the the stress that's when you are creating, you're pushing the envelope and you push past where your manager is. Well,
Yeah.
okay, now they have the expectation of you going further and further and further, and there's no break. There's
Mhm.
no, "Hey, oh, I know, Naya has done the last 6 projects. Let's give her the last one off," to give her a little 3-month break. No, they see you as an overachiever and just keeps pushing the
Keeps
envelope. Mhm.
Okay, so I got 2 things because
Uh,
that I wanna weave from before we add more to your experience, because 'cause like, I think these are really rich topics.
yeah.
Let's talk about the dating one for a second,
Okay.
because that's something that, I'm single, y'all. I'm very single, so I just had to say that. And it's interesting because we've got a married woman in the chat, and you are very successful, and yet you found love, or love found you, right?
Mhm.
And as somebody who, again, is very single and is continuously rising this ladder of academia and also just in general in my career,
Mhm.
I've had men legitimately tell me, "Well, you're just too smart and that's why you're still single." Mm, I've had somebody say, "Maybe you should dumb yourself down a bit." And it's interesting because
And those
I
are black men. That's not like I'm no, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
I just want to make that preference known. Like your type is saying that. It's not and
yeah,
you're trying to step out. No, this is your type. This is the lane
yeah,
that everybody says you're supposed to be in.
yeah,
They're attacking you too. So
yeah,
continue.
yeah. But it's interesting because when I introduce myself, or like when a guy gets to know me, immediately they're like, "Oh, you're one of them smart ones." Or like, "Oh, you're smart." Like that's always the first thing, and I can
Yeah.
already tell where this is about to go, because
Yeah.
it's like the moment, I say I'm in STEM, or I got my degree in math, and then God forbid I say the colleges I went to, right? Then it's just like, oh,
Forget
like
it.
you think you're, yeah. So I'm interested to hear about how perhaps did love find you, or how you navigated that. And I think I want to specify the difference between romantic and, right, friendship, because I think there is definitely a loneliness in friendship that also comes
Yes.
with success. But let's stick with the romantic, and then maybe go to friendship, and or wherever the conversation goes. Yeah.
No, I have to say that I used to start my first dates off with how everybody asks, like, how, your name, where are you from, all of that. And then my next following question after those little basics to make sure I wasn't, they was gonna kidnap me or anything. The next basic question was, how would you feel if I made more money? I
You
always,
say that right off the bat?
yes, first date, because I don't have
Oh,
time to
you
waste.
bold. Oh, wow. Okay.
And
Let me write that
okay,
down. Okay.
as kind as I am very ruthless when it came to the dating scene. 'Cause
Okay.
I just didn't wait I hated wasting my time. I hated explaining my life story to multiple people, and I didn't wanna waste it. So I literally was like, "How would you feel?" Now, most men would be like, laugh in my face. And I'd be like, "Okay." But my thing is, I always knew I was gonna make more money. It doesn't even matter if you was a surgeon, if you was a lawyer. I don't know. I just always in my head knew that was I was just gonna be up there. And my husband, when we first went on our first date, he's literally like, I'll be like, "Yay? I don't know. I don't know how you respond to that." It's just like, okay, that's little different.
Okay.
He's like, I'm not intimidated. Like, you can do whatever you
Mm,
want because that's your lane. Like,
yeah.
And I was just like, okay,
I
we
like
might be able to
that.
work with this.
I
We can
like
work with
that. I
this. You know
like
what I'm
that.
saying? Uh, and so for me, it was just one, I didn't have time to waste. And two, I just like you, I didn't want to hear, oh, I wasn't ready for you. Like, no, if y- if we got into this relationship and I already asked that question, you gave me a different answer, and you had a different response. All right, I'm ready to go because obviously you weren't aware of your insecurity.
Mhm.
And my
Mhm.
thing is there's two ways that men like present their insecurity when it comes to women with success. Either they shrink in themselves and so they feel like they can't do anything. I can't.
Mhm.
Or they put down the woman and make sure that she doesn't
That
feel
thing.
like she
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Either way, I didn't want to go through it.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
real.
made that conscious decision.
Mm.
So that's kind of how I navigated it. Now, is that
Okay.
the right way to do it? I don't know. Was it probably nicer because I'm in college and I could, say what I wanted to say off rip? And,
It's a little bit more excusable in some sense,
it's a little bit more
maybe?
excusable to be
Yeah.
that blunt. But also at the same time, I feel like if people were dating now and they were a little bit more blunt, we would get a little bit farther.
Yeah. No, and I think that's really what it is. It's like, stop wasting people's time, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you don't want your time wasted, ask the questions that you need to ask, and the right
Move
person will be
on.
like, "Oh, she's bold, but I like it." Right? But I like it. And I
Yeah.
think that's important. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to what you were saying about being in corporate America and the impact that it really has on adding more pressure. And I feel like a lot of that possibly, and I could be wrong, but what you were going through at your previous job was they
Mhm.
could see all that you could do, and then they would be like, okay, here's more, right? Like, I have a friend, she's currently in corporate America, and she's been placed on so many different like areas and committees for what she does.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody else only has like one portfolio, but she has multiple because they're like, oh, you can do it. But she
Yeah.
gets paid less, right? So I'm very curious if you could dive in deeper on that one because that's interesting. I'm not in corporate America, so
Yeah, no, with corporate America is kind of this funny unspoken rule. So the more you raise your hand, yes, you are being seen by management, potential of moving up the ladder, but also the more you raise your hand, the more times they sign you up for things. And so
mm,
as a black woman, you kind of have to juggle between the two because if you just keep going and then let's say the extra project that they gave you, you fell short. That's just as bad as if you didn't do your job at all.
yeah,
So now you're held to
mm,
this higher standard, less pay, like you said, less pay than where you should be,
yeah,
but it's still lose your job or not if you don't hit your standard. Yeah.
and it's interesting because I feel like that's unfortunately the experience of black women or a lot of black women in general, regardless of if you're in corporate America, right?
Yeah.
As I think about being in college, of I have to raise my hand more often so that I can be seen, so that I can be heard, so I can prove that I deserve to be here, right? And a
Yes.
lot of people are in spaces, they enter spaces and they don't have to prove that they deserve to be in those spaces. They're just occupy those spaces. But I
Mhm.
think black women often take on the I have to prove myself because of what like the saying, what you got to work twice as hard to get less than half. And it affects so many different aspects in how you approach success.
Yes. And I think our generation, which Gen Z, right? I don't know what
I say
generation
is
we
millennial because I don't
millennial.
necessarily we're that
Yeah,
like weird cusper.
yeah. So wherever we are in our age group, um, I think we're somewhere in the middle because for me, I still have older black women who are used to the old way it's traditionally done. You don't raise your hand, you don't raise your voice, you wait until your opportunity is presented to you. And those are the mentors in corporate America. But then you also have the management in corporate America who are now the younger, newer generation who is more involved, more aware, prioritizing work life balance, things like that.
Hmm.
So you would have a manager that's telling you one thing, but your mentor is telling you another.
Telling
So
you,
you
yeah.
so now you're over here juggling, but your manager is like, well, okay, if you can do this and you keep saying you can do this, like, yeah. So it's kind of like you're getting set up, but you're not. I shouldn't even say set up, but like
Mm.
unconsciously, it's just putting you through this cycle. So it's
Like,
additional
yeah,
pressures that no one else has because your mentors are saying you have to rise above, lift as you climb, all of the things, work for the right to say something in the room. Like these are the
Mhm.
actual words that people are saying. And really, your manager is like, "Oh, what is your thoughts?" And I truly mean that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, is this a test? Is it like
Is this a
you
trap?
it's a trap." Like your mind be going just on
Mm.
basic things because you're somewhere stuck in the middle. Now, I feel like the new generation after us, they're fitting right in. They're understanding work-life balance, whether, black, white, blue, yellow, it doesn't matter. They're prioritizing their health, which is the right way to go,
Yeah.
but they don't have that mentorship aspect that we're kind of stuck in between.
Yeah. Hmm,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I'm thinking about like what my specific traumas have been with success that I don't
Mhm.
think is often talked about. And I think for me, it's this expectation, and I don't know where the expectation comes from. Like, I don't know if it's an expectation I'm putting on myself, if it's an expectation somebody else has of me, but this expectation that I do have to do more, that if I'm resting, that you're supposed to be successful. You're gonna, you got to do this. You got to read this many books. You got to do this, da, 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 right? Like this, whatever. And I don't know, again, if that's like my own internal placements that I've put on myself, or if it's parents, right? And I think we touched about this a bit last week, but what I was saying of graduation was just an expectation. Like, yeah, you were supposed to
Yes.
do that. So you don't necessarily celebrate that, right?
Yeah.
And so there's, with each ladder that I climb, it's like I have this expectation that I'm supposed to hit it.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily allow myself to, one, sit in it, but also to rest because I should be striving for what's next. And I think a lot of people just don't sit and celebrate
Yeah.
their successes. So I think that's one of my traumas. And I think another one that I struggled with is finding the right circle
Percent.
as you climb. And I think, I think a lot of people are kind of realizing that as adults, it is hard to have friends, right? And I think one
Find
of
them.
that aspect,
Okay, find them. It's not even
but I
have
think that
friends, it's
aspect, you
find
said
them.
find them. But it's because, right, like your success or even just life changes. And one thing that, the quote that I often think about is you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, or you don't want to be the smartest person in your circle, or whatever the case is. And your
Yeah.
circle should be pushing you to reach the heights, right, that you
Mhm.
plan on reaching. And it's interesting because I don't necessarily know what my life is going to look like. Some people have the careers of you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, and this is it, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that to know that, okay, well, maybe I might have other doctor friends, or maybe I might have other lawyer friends, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't have that. So it's been very hard to figure out where is my circle that's going to help grow me in this
Mm.
uncertainty of a career or trajectory that I do have, despite all these successes that I've made along the way.
No, that definitely makes sense. Okay, there's so many things to touch on. So
Okay.
let's start with the first one. Okay, the first
Okay.
one, talking about not celebrating your successes. So I
Mhm.
want it was an article that came out, and I can't remember what the title is. I do apologize, but it was basically talking about the generation of women, our parent, like our mothers' generation.
Mhm.
They were technically the first generation of women to go to work full time,
Mm.
and thinking about that aspect, right? So our mothers went to work full time with the same expectation to keep the household
Yeah.
as if they were stay-at-home wives,
Crazy. Yeah.
right?
Absurd.
And so thinking about how your mother, like, navigated that space. Mine, personally, okay, she was working herself. Okay, she was working herself. I mean, she would go to work and come home immediately clean, immediately cooked.
Mhm.
Like, it was that. I mean, until my grandma moved in, which gave her a little bit of break here and there.
Yeah.
Um, but still the expectation that I have to go to work and make X amount of money and then still come home
Yeah.
and fulfill and take care of the kids and make sure they do all the doctor's appointments because you know what? My husband's not taking
Yeah.
off from work to go take our kids to the dentist. Mind you, I also have to go to do my own appointments.
Oh, yep.
And so I'm taking away time from my career, which, my mom's a hairstylist. So it's not like she has
Oh,
a set pay.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
now she has to
That's
stay
the
later.
clients.
And so
Yeah.
she's missing out on these like, athletic events and things like that because she's trying to do everything for everyone in the household because she's the first generation to do so. Now our
Yeah.
generation, yes, we do the household. We quick to call a cleaner. I ain't gonna hold you. We quick to use the resources, the
Yep.
robot vacs, the all
You
of
don't
the
have
things
to
to
do it
help us
all on
out.
our own. Yeah.
And then we also are looking for partners that are helping us, not
Being
just allowing
us.
us. But again, that's a whole different generation. You
Yeah.
you were taught one thing, and even though
Yeah.
yes, your mindset has changed, the thought process is still there because you operated in
Mhm.
that for many of years. So you
Mhm.
feeling as if you have to continue to push the envelope, push the envelope, push the envelope is very realistic because you watched your mom do it in maybe a
Do it.
different
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. No, that's definitely real. And I think that's a really good point to look at the generation prior and understanding the battles that they had to go through, even with success. Like, I'm thinking, my mom, she was first generation, right?
Mhm.
And so just the expectation, like, I doubt she sat in the success of graduating college
Yeah.
because she was expected to make something for her family. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So I'm thinking just as, and even my father was first generation as well. And again, my grandparents didn't like really understand the big deal that
Mhm.
college was to graduate, right? Because it's like you're
Yeah.
supposed to be working, you're supposed to bring in money. And so I think thinking about your parents or those above you and who brought you in, what they struggle with definitely helps give you context for how you shape your own relationship with success. And so I appreciate that perspective.
And I would also like to say with the parent aspect is that their understanding of success, they're thinking like your mom being first generation, they're like, okay, we gave you the opportunity to go to America.
Yeah.
The least you could do is to provide this
Is
degree,
yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like in our household, it's always been an unspoken rule, and it could have just been me. So I'm gonna just take that on as me. Maybe I created this unspoken rule, but you can't do anything lesser than the prior generation. You always
Oh,
gotta push it a little
for
bit further.
sure.
And
Yeah, no,
so
I think that's a
everybody,
generation expectation. Yeah,
but
I think so.
also if that's the case, right? How do you push the envelope? Because every time you say I've hit something, they be like, we did it better. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I graduated high school. I had to go walk 3 miles in the snow. Okay. I had no bus. I had to, you at least you could do
Mm,
You see what I'm
y'all had the
saying?
internet. I had encyclopedias and go to that. Okay. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're always gonna say their journey was so much harder. So obviously you have not reached where you're supposed to be at.
Yeah. But I think in that is how do you define success? Right? Because I think
Yeah.
we often associate success with, money, a career,
Mhm.
degrees, or hitting a certain status,
Yes.
right? I think that is what success is associated with. And as I'm thinking about, the generation after us, when we one day have kids, is I have a very high ceiling. I have to be
Yes.
mindful of what I am creating success to be for my child. Because what I
Mhm.
don't want is my child to feel like they have to fit these big shoes. And I think the importance
Yeah.
of building generational wealth, right, is really, and even generational success is ensuring that the generation after us is already better off than where we once were.
Yeah.
And so I think we often are like, okay, well, success means that they have to push the envelope and make it better for their generation. But it's like, I want my kids not to have to go through 12 degrees just to make
Yeah.
this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to feel comfortable to just be and to exist. And that to me is like success is finding joy in doing what you love, being good at it, and making a life out of it. But I think
Yeah.
we've shaped success to be completely different.
Think so too. And I don't know where I saw this. It could have been a TV show or it could be anywhere, but somebody defined they were I think it was a TV show. He was talking to his son and his son was like he was stressing himself out. Oh, I know it was. It was the new reload of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Bel-Air.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And he was talking to Carlton, the
Mhm.
new one. And he
Yeah,
he
air
was like,
quotes.
"I don't wanna go to Stanford." I think that's what it was. "I don't wanna go to Stanford anymore." Phil was like, "Look, we only did this not so you guys can do better than us or hit a certain status. We did this so you would have a choice. The fact that you
Choice.
chose to do something different, we have succeeded." I
Yeah,
said, "That's the way to look at it."
yeah, yeah.
As long as you are creating a choice for the next generation, you could be an
Mhm.
artist. You could be the best
Yeah,
artist, spray paint buildings, but you as long as you create a
you have the
choice
choice.
for the
Yeah, I
next
like it.
generation, if they wanna do something else, they have that option. You
Yeah,
created the opportunity and you did what you felt like you wanted to do. I think that's the perfect way to look at it.
yeah. No,
Mhm.
yeah, hats off
Yeah.
to
No,
creators of
because
that because I
that
ain't
was a
got
good
nothing else to
scene.
say.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
The little reboot, they
Is
didn't do no too much.
okay. I like that though. It's about choice.
It's about
Huh.
choice. And if you look at it like that, defining success as that, I think that opportunity. So if you ask your kids, like, hey, are you providing your best? As long as they can show up to school, they graduate high school, now that you have a choice. You have a choice to either go to college or not.
Mhm.
You are successful. You created
Mhm.
that choice. You didn't eliminate a choice for yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's fair. Okay. Now going over to the friend side. Okay.
Right.
Bruh. Finding a friend is hard. Yeah, that's a toughie. As success, I feel like it's hard. I say like with black women, I say for corporate America because we're constantly in competition. People are constantly pitting each other against each other. So even when you talk, it's like fake nice. It's like, hi, how are
Mm.
you? I've done this project, I've done that project, da 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 da. You know? Oh, what are you doing? Okay. Ah, my wedding is this, da 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 da. I spent this much on it. My ring is this much. Like, it's that, and you're sizing them up quietly. I
Mhm.
don't like that. Honestly,
Yeah, no.
I've never liked that. Have I played the game a very long time? Yes. And as I've like took that break, I realized that I no longer like playing the game because honestly, that adds another layer of mental stress on you because they're
Mm.
sizing you up
Yeah.
on things that are not work related. They're
Yeah.
sizing you up on, oh, how does your hair look? Oh, what outfits are you wearing? Like, how are you presenting yourself? Oh, I saw her crying the other day. And I feel like that's the toxicity that's
Yeah.
associated. But these are the people that you're supposed to be surrounding yourself with to push the envelope. So I find
Mhm.
myself building friendships outside of my career of people who are also
Yeah.
striving to be the best in their careers.
To me, that makes sense for you because when you were talking about it, I was gonna say, like, it's not that I don't see your success in corporate America, but I think your success looks far different from, oh, I work at Chase Bank, for example. I work at Chase Bank and I'm this person, and I'm like, I plan on eventually being VP, right? Like, and that's
Yeah,
like climbing the ladder. I don't see that necessarily in your aspirations. Like, you don't give that type of corporate America is my identity. And so
yeah,
success isn't defined in climbing the ladder in corporate America for you. At least I could be wrong, but you know what I'm saying? And so for your friends, I would definitely think that they would be in some sense outside
Yeah.
of corporate America,
Mhm.
or could be in, but I think how they define success looks a lot larger. Like they have a larger viewpoint and perspective than corporate America's my life,
Yeah.
which makes it more challenging. Very much so to find friends is because it's like, okay, well, then where do I find
Do
these
fine.
people?
No,
No.
I I would disagree with the sense because I think I used to be that. And I think you know that
Okay.
version, the girl that used to work all the time and never took days off. That was me striving to be that,
Yeah.
realizing that that didn't fit me. But it's easy to fall into. It's super easy.
Yeah.
Like you're in the environment, you're around them majority of your time. It's so easy to fall into that. That's my identity. That's what I want. I want to be the CFO, CEO of X, Y, and Z company. And so you realize that, hey, like you said, my vision on life is more of presence, about family, about community, about much bigger picture. It's not doing this so I look better on paper for this opportunity. It's like I'm doing this because I would like to do an impact. If no one recognizes me for this, okay. But at least I know the people who
Okay.
work with me know that we had something going on. We had a great thing.
Mhm.
So that I guess that's how I look
Hmm.
at it. But again, it takes me taking what 4 or 5 months off,
Yeah.
decalibrating my
To
brain to reset to realize, okay,
mhm.
this is not actually what I wanted in the first place. Yeah.
Hmm.
And when it comes to friends,
That's
it just
interesting 'cause
becomes difficult, like you said. Cause I mean, I'm in corporate America. Nobody's thinking like me. Like they look at me and they be like, and honestly, I get it. Cause if somebody came up to me like a year ago and said the same thing, I would just look at them like, okay, you a little psycho Larry, but all right.
mm,
So I get it.
that's interesting that a break took you to recalibrate that.
Yes.
'Cause I think I'm curious for folks who don't have like, who didn't have that break for it to recalibrate. Because my experience, I think, is a lot different. I
Uh-huh.
have phenomenal friends.
Mm.
Like, my friends are dope. And they've always been like, "Where you are is not where you're supposed to be."
Mm.
And they very much have been the circle to push me, um,
Forward kinda
to
thing.
think higher.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think where I struggled with is, well, how do I surround myself with the people who are on a similar journey, right? On a
Mm.
similar path in some sense where I am, because I think a lot of my friends are on different paths, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, we very much help each other emotionally, spiritually, and things of that nature. But as far
Yeah.
as pushing my boundaries, my friends don't necessarily encompass that. They're the ones who are like, no, 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 you are supposed to be the boundary pusher. You need to find people to surround yourself that are constantly doing that as well. And so I
Mm.
think I've just been blessed to have that type of circle
Yeah.
to where they're like, no, 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 like you're not supposed to be hanging with us all the time. Like, I need you to, because you're supposed to bring us up here. Like, what are we doing, right? And
I
so
see.
it's interesting. I think I very much struggle with where does that leave me? Like, I feel like I just got kicked out of the nest, and I can't find the right
Footing,
group of
yeah.
people that I'm supposed to be with to help. Yeah. So it's
Yeah, no.
interesting. I think we have very different experiences.
No, and I get that. Like, I think my friends, like, I have corporate friends, I have non-corporate friends. Um, and I think sometimes with the balancing, I'm learning my footing because with my corporate friends, like I just found a group of girls that like we are supporting each other, we're here for each other, and we're in the same lane. Like we're in the same lane. So I'm like, wow, this is nice. I love it here. But I also have people who are, they're in different lanes. What I'm missing is that heartfelt, like spiritually, emotional connections in the sense of like those deeper
Mhm.
connections. And so I think it's interesting that you have the deeper connections and then I have like the word connections kind of space. So, and I think you're also, like you said earlier, with you trying to identify what is your direction or what is your end goal, it's kind of hard to place people in the group when you're trying to figure it out too. So I think
Yeah.
just like your mentorships and just like anything else, you have to create pieces. Like, hey, I like I liked your entrepreneur spirit. Let me grab that. I like, oh, you're free spirited. Okay, cool. I need a traveler. Yeah. I need somebody who got this aspect or they're connected to this or they know nonprofits or something of that sort. You might have to build your perfect person out of 10 different people. I'm talking
Yeah.
to myself as well. But I think that might be the thing is with success is like everybody has a best friend and people are used to best friends and this is my bestie and they're going to do life together. When you're successful, I don't think you have a bestie. And that's what
Mm.
probably makes you feel lonely. I think when you're success, you don't have time for a bestie. You don't have time to connect with somebody on a regular. You have friend groups, just like our line sisters. Whoever you are connected with at this period in time is who you needed at that moment. Doesn't mean the rest of the relationship
Yeah.
with everybody else is lesser than. It just means it's not our time right now. And I think of
Yeah.
friendships like that.
Mm.
Like I have a bucket and whoever I'm connected to is the person I need. And not to say like a useful way, but like our spirits are connected.
Yeah, because I'm thinking a lot about what you're saying, and I'm also thinking about it in a mentorship aspect too, right? Because I
Mhm.
don't have a mentor. I've always been, and God very much had to correct me on this, but I've always been jealous with people who have a mentor and
Sure.
like their mentor has helped them with all of these aspects and da 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 da. God very much told me, he was like, but I've called you to a different journey. So why are you jealous from somebody else's journey? That don't make sense. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're being envious of something that wasn't even designed for you in the first place. And what I really realize is that I found qualities of, again, different people, right,
Mhm.
to be able to feed me at that time. And I guess that's the season with relationships in some aspect. And I think there is a habit of some folks to place one person to be everything, right?
Yes.
Whether that's your partner or your
Yes.
best friend.
Mhm.
And so I think it's like they actually don't, one person doesn't have to be every single thing. You should have a toolkit. You know what I'm saying? Like you should have a toolkit where people can actually, they have different elements that can pour into you rather than just having like a Swiss
One
Army knife,
person.
one size fits all person. Yeah.
And I think to go along with that, successful people or the most successful people are not static individuals. They are not one dimensional. They're very complex. They have layers. Like even if you talk about us and you look at our initial post, like it's about 5 different dimensions that describe us. These are our identifiers, identities, things that make us us. One person is not
Yeah.
going to have all of those 5, 6 things. And they can't get to you.
Yeah.
They can't get to you intellectually on all of these different levels. So why would you
Yeah.
curate one person? Now, if there's a static individual who's like, this is it, this is me. I don't know those individuals, but there might be. And their best friend is just that, like that everything. Love that for y'all. But like also, I just grew up knowing that that was just never going to work for me. One person is
Got
just
it.
not
Yeah.
gonna be everything for me because I like math and I draw. Like that in itself does not go together. Nobody who draws like math.
Thank you, sister.
You know what I'm saying? You see
There
what
are
I'm
some
saying?
people.
There are like yes, but
Yeah.
even us, right? You do poetry. I actually paint. Like we're still off. you know? You like very complex
Yeah. That's
mathematical
real.
equations. I just like algebra. Okay? Like, it's layers to it. It's we still don't match. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like while it'd be nice to call one person and they be your everything, it's kind of not that. And also, I think it's healthier because why would I put that much pressure on one person? As a friend, why would I want to add more stress onto your life so you can handle all of the things that I'm trying to burden or like hold on to, and you're trying to put your stuff on me, so we're just holding stuff together. Even Jesus had 12 disciples. Okay, why if
That's
Jesus
real.
only needed
That's
one,
very real.
he could have had one
Yeah.
best friend. Honestly, things could have been a little different. He only had one best friend. I just told you, okay? That's why people talk about like a friend breakup is so devastating. A friend breakup is so devastating. It's because you put all your eggs in one basket. Now, as a person who's married, yes, I put all my eggs in one basket with this human man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my one eggs in one basket. But in that in that thing,
I don't
he's
even think
also
with
not
that.
everything for me. He's still not everything for me.
Exactly. That's why
He's
I was
just a
like, he's not
piece.
all your eggs in one basket. Like, I think again, partnerships is very complex in that sense, but you're not putting all of your, energy, all of your faith, all of your desires, all of that, and you're not doing that in one person, right?
No.
Like, or else y'all 2 would be, I don't know, doing a podcast, and y'all 2 would
Isolated.
be going to these yoga classes together. So I think
Mhm.
it's you're very much right that it's in order for you to be successful in some sense, right? Like in a healthy way, is to give of yourself and receive from multiple different people rather than just one, because that
Mm.
limits your reach and that limits what you'll learn and what you'll experience, and how you love. And I think as you think about success, a part of it is community, right?
Yes.
And I think being able to have a community of people, that are also growing and also
Mhm.
you're learning from.
No, I definitely agree, and I like the way you said it. Like, not only receiving from them, but you're giving to them, and you think about it like the bigger your impact, and it doesn't mean like the people. And I want to caveat this because our generation loves big friend groups, loves a 20-person friend
Oh,
group.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no,
I
that's
don't mean
crazy.
it. I don't mean that. I don't want a friend group. I want friend relationships. Friend groups have, we're doing all one thing, and because we are all in this friend group, we're doing it together and we have to be locked in. No, I want to have individual relationships with 20 people, maybe, or maybe five.
Yeah,
Mostly five, because I only got
yeah,
time for it. But,
yeah,
and if
that's
we
true.
do something together, that would be great, but that would probably be once every 5 years, maybe 6, like, kinda thing.
Yeah.
But also, most of it is, I have a relationship with you. I have a relationship with you. I have a relationship with you. And we're just building on that, you know? And it doesn't have to be everyday talking. All I'm saying is, it's hard to find friendships when you're successful. It's hard to find relationships, pets, all of the things, okay? Cause and then it makes, and because you can't do all of that, you feel so lonely. Okay? You feel so lonely.
I mean, I think that part of the trauma isn't hidden. Of
Yes.
when you're successful, like, right, that saying it's lonely at the top. There's songs
Yeah.
about that. But I think what we don't talk about are the aspects of loneliness and how you navigate that. Yeah.
Speaking of that, one thing we didn't talk about was family. Like when you're successful, how lonely it could be in your family. Because as Black women, the expectation is you graduate, okay? With something. It's either high school, it's either college, whatever your family's direction or goals are. But then after graduation, it's like, okay, great. Where's your husband? Where's the children? It's like, oh, this whole time I was narrow minded and focused. Now, if I don't have those things, it's just almost like you weren't successful for real. I just didn't go to school for like the last 16 years of my life. And it feels lonely because now that we're developing and understanding our emotions and our boundaries and things like that, your family be like, oh, so you think you too good for us. And I'm not saying this for me, but I'm just saying in general. Like that's the aspect that often does happen. And so now you're sitting here with this success and you've fulfilled everything that your family has told you. And now you're just sitting here like, I'm alone and no one gets me. And the household that I grew up in doesn't feel like a household at all because now everything's foreign. I'm focusing on my career, so I missed out on Thanksgiving. I focused on this and I missed out on Christmas. Now you too good to come to Christmas anymore, or you too good to do this. Any thoughts on that aspect?
Definitely have thoughts. I'm thinking of like recent examples. Like I didn't go to my aunt's 50th because my nonprofit and we had an event. And so, just like this, oh, well, you never have time for me. And I've been trying to be more intentional about creating time for family. But there is this, I also don't feel understood. And I'm mindful to say that you kind of created this. You know what I'm saying? You
Like,
kind of created this. You said
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you have to do all of this. You said you have, like, I need you to graduate, and then I need you to do this, and I need you to do that. And so I checked all of these boxes, and these are now the results of checking the boxes that you had placed. So no, I don't have time because I'm fulfilling the expectation. And then simultaneously, I'm reminded that I have to take care of you at some point, and I want to take care of you at some point, right? Like there is, yes, I am obligated, but I also want to, and I want to give you everything that you have given me and then some. And so there are like I have to sacrifice this moment if that means creating the life that you want or envision for you and like I want you to retire. I want you to stop working in like 5 years. I really do. And so I'm trying to get there so that you can stop working, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like you kind of created this.
And you don't know what to do with it. Like you literally, and they'll be sitting there like, well, we didn't mean for you to go this far, or we didn't mean for you to do this. You didn't stop the train from going. You didn't hit the brake not one time. And like you said, it was an expectation for graduation, but it wasn't an expectation that I might be in these streets for a little bit longer because of that. I remember, I'm going to tell you a little story time. My parents had always picked like bigger schools and schools that had better education. So top schools, which is great. My education was perfect. My social activity low. Because of that, the high schools, the ratio from, the African American race to everybody else was just unproportionate by just significance. Okay. And so when events came up like dances or things like that, I opted out because my type was not interested in me, right? But these are the social activities that your parents want you to do. These are beautiful moments that they want to take photos at. So take you back to prom. And I think this is a good example. So I'm a high achieving student, right? I mean, I had so many books. My dad had me have a roller book bag, okay? And I was in high school with this roller book bag. Loved my roller book bag. Now, when prom came around, I wasn't gonna go to prom. My best friend, she went to a competition, wasn't gonna make prom, so I didn't have a friend to go with me. So I was like, you know, I'm opted out. It was just not a big deal for me. My mom was like, no, you have to go. I said, what? I was like, what do you mean I have to go? She's like, this is a moment. You don't want to miss out on the moment. And so my mom is such a girly girl. And I was such a tomboy that I was thinking in my head, like, this is her moment. Like, really? Like, she doesn't have a lot of moments where she gets to dress me up. So, like, this might be it for her. So, like, go ahead and go to prom. And it would be kind of nice to be a little different or whatever. Because it was like a month before prom, like people were doing prom poses. I'm like, well, obviously I'm not gonna get a prom poser from anybody. So, you know what? I'm gonna put my big girl panties on. I'm gonna go propose to somebody else. So that's what I did. I proposed. Let me tell y'all, I was creative, okay? I went up to this guy in the track team. We had been doing discus all season long. And he was like tall And he was like, he looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy. His cheeks was all soft and it was just cute. So I was like, wow. I didn't like wasn't interested in him in like a deep way. I just like, okay, we friends, we cool. Like I might have a little crush, but I don't think this is gonna go nowhere. Like it just in proximity. I got the Buffalo Wild Wings, my little Buffalo Wild Wings, and I wrote on there, I'ma just wing it. Will you go to prom with me? His favorite wings and
That
everything.
was cute. That was cute.
The right? I thought that was cute. He said no. I threw away those wings so fast. So then I was like, you know what? You know what? I'ma ask the next guy. No. Next guy. No. Next guy. No. I hit the fourth person, y'all. And mind you, I forgot a part of the story. So when my mom said why I didn't want to go to prom, I was like, well, I'm not gonna have a date. And I gave her these stats. These stats, high school and higher, okay? I said, okay, out of the 100% of men that are at the high school, 50%, or not even 50, 30% of them are black. Out of the 30%, 50% of that 30% like white women. So therefore, I'm not gonna be their type. And they not gonna even think about asking me. So then out of that, you gotta take some of them like men, and that's okay. So you have to take 25 out of that. That leave me with one person in the school. He already dating somebody. My mom was like, that can't be the stats. So as I'm asking all these people, those stats is just throwing in my head like, what? But I'm sitting there. I ended up taking the sophomore, which was a terrible idea because he didn't tell me he didn't dance before going to prom. That's the only thing I wanted to do, y'all. Either way. But when I got to the prom, I'm just sitting there like, if I would have just stuck to my guns, because I knew this was about to be a hot mess. I know. But it's because you gotta think about it. The people who was left were underachievers. They don't want to go with somebody super smart who plays sports. They want to go with the person who, you know, smoking a joint outside of the high school. They want to go with somebody who wants to kick it. They want to go with somebody who's chill and has time to like go to the mall on the weekends instead of falling asleep at the mall. I've definitely done that. But like things like that, I just wasn't for them. But again, I was following their directions. And back in the day, it was cool to be smart. It was cool to be that person. It just wasn't for our generation at the time. So, saying all that to say, that's my little story time of the day.
I think if I'm looping it back, I think a lot of what I'm hearing you say is like how our family place on us and the results of that, right?
Yes.
And how you approach things look very different, right? And I think it's interesting because when you were going through your story, I was like, oh, I actually do have stories like that, but I didn't necessarily associate that with the hidden traumas of success.
Yeah.
Right, and like what does that mean, and like the how your parents kind of place that on you, like as I was thinking about where my anxiety came from as a kid, and it's because every time I got like a 98, they were like, where's that other 2%? And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah, no,
teacher
we got
kept it.
hundreds, like this is, yeah, yeah, right.
You know, they had
And
to
so it
humble
was,
me. They had to humble me. That's what it was.
you're funny. But yeah, and so, like, after time, it was like, if I didn't get I was like, "I have to get 100." Like, I have to, like, prove to my parents that I can get 100, and the expectation is to reach 100, and so this anxiety every time I made a mistake in life, right? That it was like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
not successful because I made a mistake."
Yes.
Um, and
But you
I
couldn't afford the
had to
mistakes.
realize that. Exactly. And I had to realize that I had to unlearn that, right? That success is really what you do out of the mistakes that you made, right? And
Yes.
that's to me how I'm going to define my success. I had to check myself this semester. I got a 74 and I was like crying. I was like boo-hoo-hooing. I was like, I got a 74 on a paper. Like at this point, what am I even in policy school for? Everybody hates me. I'm just terrible. I can't read. I can't write. Literally off. I went off the deep end, and I was like, okay, let's reel it back, or we could just use this as an experience to grow and learn. There's more for me to learn. And
Yeah.
I love learning. I want to learn how to, like, get better at this, right? And I didn't even want 100. I was just like, I really just I wanna learn what I did wrong and what I can do better because I realized that my writing wasn't shifted for policy or whatever the case was, and I wasn't receiving the information or
Mm,
portraying what I received. And girl, I ended that class with an A. What was I stressed
mhm.
for? What was I going off the deep end, right? You have to shift how you approach things
Yes.
when you think about your hidden traumas of success.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just how you said, like, you didn't recognize it until someone talks about it. There's probably so many more layers that we haven't even touched. We hit 5 different, but there's so many much more. We could probably spend a whole season on just this. But going from that, I just want to ask the community with the hidden traumas of success, will you redefine your definition of success or will you change your actions and your activities within operating in your success? If you guys ever want to write any listener letters or comment on the podcast, please reach out at theconqueredmentality@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Okay? We'll see you guys next time.